In this video, we're going to be reviewing how to enter and what teamed minutes are. So to do this, I'm just actually going to make this screen as big as possible. There we go. And we're going to take, for example, the walking treatment that we do with Mickey Mouse. And we're also going to add in that the PT helped walk this resident. And we'll go from there. Okay, so this would have been actually for a treatment. Let's say that the PTA needed help walking Mickey Mouse because the nursing home or the home's staff member who usually helped wasn't there and the PT was able to help. So what we do here is, let's say that it took 10 minutes to walk Mickey Mouse. So the PTA would enter 10 minutes and she would save her minutes. If she clicks the save here, it saves for this row. Okay, and if she clicks up here, it saves for all of her stats. So it doesn't matter which one you pick, except that, remember, if you click this one, it's going to add or save whatever goes horizontally, and if you click this one, it's going to save all of your stats vertically. Let's just click that one for the sake of it. And so we know that for this walking, the PT would have helped the PTA for the full 10 minutes walking Mickey Mouse. So let's enter that so that we see. The reason that we have teamed minutes is more or less for in long-term care homes for the RAI reports. Now, if you're working in a community home or a retirement home, you can still enter the teamed minutes just to be consistent across all of our settings. Let me just describe to you what the teamed minutes are and how they work. They're based on the fact that in long-term care homes we have to do RAI reports, and the RAI reports, basically the Ministry of Health wants to know how many minutes the residents spent doing their treatment. They don't care how many minutes of staff time it took. They want to know how much treatment time did the resident have. So we know that Mickey walked for 10 minutes. The thing is, our RAI report right now is going to pick up that Mickey walked for 10 minutes and Mickey walked for 10 minutes. Mickey actually didn't walk for 20 minutes, so we had to have a way to tell Coligo that Mickey only walked for 10 minutes, and we decided to call this phenomenon teamed minutes because it meant that more than one person who's entering stats in Coligo was entering the same amount of stats for that resident a second time. For example, the walking. There's 10 minutes from the PT and 10 minutes from the PTA to walk Mickey for 10 minutes. We need the RAI report to only show 10 minutes, not 20. So what happens in this case is both the team members will enter their 10 minutes because they need this 10 minutes to show up in their daily total, right? Both the 10 minutes need to show up for their day's work. We just needed to find a way to tell the RAI report that Mickey only walked for 10 minutes and not 20. So between the two team members, there has to be a decision taken as to who's entering the teamed minutes. Usually what we suggest is if there's a PT and a PTA who are seeing a resident together, the PT can be the one to enter the teamed minutes. Now, if you're two PTAs, this should not happen often that you're both seeing the same resident, okay? It could happen rarely on the occasion where the nursing home or the retirement home staff member is not available to help you do your treatment with that person who needs two people. Like walking is a very common one that needs two people. However, on the rare occasion that it does happen just between the two PTAs, you'll have to decide who's entering the teamed minutes. So as I said, in this case, the PT is going to decide I'll enter the teamed minutes, and so the PT would need to enter 10 in that last column, which, as you see here, is for T, for teamed. And so then the PT would save her time. You'll see that once it is saved, it changes nothing in her daily total. What it does do, however, is when the RAI report is picking up the amount of minutes that Mickey had in treatment today, it'll pick up the 5 direct minutes of 10s, the 10 supervised minutes of 10s, the 10 minutes of walking. It will also pick up this 10 minutes of walking, and it will pick up this 10 minutes of teamed, which becomes a minus 10. So this minus 10 negates this plus 10, therefore this extra 10 minutes is not counted. And the resident will have 5 plus 10 plus 10 minutes in their RIE report. Again, the RIE report shows the number of minutes that the resident had for treatment. So the resident had 5 minutes of direct care for the 10s, 10 minutes of 10s, and 10 minutes of walking. So even though this 10 supervised minutes doesn't show up in the PTA's daily total, it is going to show up in the RIE report because that is an amount of time that the resident had treatment for. That's pretty much it for teamed minutes. Let me just go a little bit further so that there's no confusion. Let's pick stair training with Joseph Smith. And let's say that this was actually a reassessment, that the physio was maybe reassessing Joseph Smith to see if he was able to do stair training as one of his treatments. Now, the physio may have actually spent 15 minutes reassessing Mr. Smith. So we'll enter that 15 minutes to her column. And maybe the stair training part of it took 10 minutes. So she may have assessed, maybe his leg range of motion and strength before deciding to go and bring him to the stairs to see how he was doing. And that may have taken her 5 minutes to get him to the stairs and just double check that he was okay to try the stairs today. And she needed help from her PTA as a second person for safety. And maybe the PTA was only there for 5 minutes. Or what did I say? The reassessment took 5 minutes. So then, then the stair assessment part would have taken 10 minutes, which would be the 5 plus the 10. So the PTA was helping for 10 minutes of this stair training. So let's enter and save that for the PTA. So when the RIE report occurs, it's going to see that Joseph Smith had 10 minutes for stair training and 15 minutes for reassessment. We know that it was 10 minutes of the 15 that was spent together with the resident. And the extra 5 minutes here was for the reassessment part not related to the stairs. So the PT here in this case would enter how many minutes of team minutes if the PTA helped her or him for 10 minutes. How many minutes? 10. That's right. So we'll save that. You'll see here that it is very important that the PT and the PTA agree on how many minutes they spent together. Because what happens is, if they don't enter the same amount of time, there could be some minutes missing on the RIE report. So let's take a look at this example. So here the RIE report is going to pick up 10 minutes for stair training and 15 minutes for a reassessment, which is equal to 25. And it's going to take off 10 minutes because that was common time between two staff. So it's going to record 15 minutes for Mr. Smith, which is accurate because Mr. Smith had 5 minutes alone with the PT and 10 minutes with the PT and the PTA, right? If by chance the PTA entered 15 minutes in her stats, let's just save that and see what happens. So the PTA put that it took 15 minutes to do the stair training, and the PT put that it took 15 minutes to do the reassessment completely. So the PT thought it was 5 minutes for the reassessment alone and 10 minutes for the stair training. The RIE report is going to pick up 15 plus 15 equal to 20, and it's going to take off the 10 minutes that the PT indicated was teamed or together with her PTA or his PTA, which is going to leave the RIE report with 20 minutes of time for Mr. Smith. According to the PT, that is not the case, and so there could be an error there, okay? The other way that an error could occur is if the PTA says that the stair training took 10 minutes and the PT said that it took, maybe she thought it was, 15 minutes and 5 minutes for her reassessment, and so in here she writes 15 minutes for teamed, for example. Okay, let's just say that and we'll save it just to be sure. what can happen in this case is that there could be less minutes than what was actually the case being reported in the RAI. So here the PT says that it took them 15 minutes together plus her 5-minute reassessment. So she wrote in that they were teamed up for 15 minutes, and the PTA only puts 10 minutes in her time instead of 15. So added up, 20 plus 10 equals 30, minus the 15 teamed up minutes leaves 15 minutes for the RAI report. So there may be 5 minutes lost here. Just remember that you have to decide together how many teamed up minutes you had with the resident, just to make sure that everything works out okay. So let's change this back to 15. Okay, so basically the teamed up minutes means how much time did you spend together for one resident. You both enter that teamed up time, you both enter the amount of time that you spent with the resident in direct, and then one of the two of you enters it also in the teamed category. If you do need more description on how these teamed minutes work, please either call support office, contact us here at support office, or you can check into the Clinical Policy and Procedure Manual for more examples and write-ups on how the teamed minutes work.